Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Rider Ramblings. It's another nice day, but there seems to be bad weather coming in, but never mind. That's life, isn't it? It's I've been looking on the forums and Bookface and that type of thing, and there's a lot of discussion about travelling to France, and people seeming to think that the sky's going to fall in if they cross the channel, and they're going to have all sorts of problems. Now, this is motorcycle related. Cars and vans and so on are slightly different, but I'm going to deal mainly with motorcycles. So, first of all, coming to France, if you use the chunnel, then you'll probably be boarded at the end, at the back, and as you enter the train, keep over to the right-hand side, and when you get to your designated parking spot, turn at a 45-degree angle so that you're 45 degrees across the carriage. Put your side stand down and get off the bike, and everything will be hunky-dory, as they say. It'll take you about, half an hour, 40 minutes, depending on a number of things, because you'll be the last to leave the train as well. So get yourself comfortable, have a sandwich, that type of thing. There can be toilets, usually upstairs. In my experience, they're not very pleasant. But if you need them, use them. But I would recommend you use them in the terminal. When you get off the tunnel, if it's the first time that you've visited France, or driven in France, or driven in a country where they drive on the wrong side of the road, then I recommend you spend the first 50 miles, approximately, on a motorway, an auto route. That way your brain gets accustomed to which side of the road you should be on. Now, it's not foolproof, and for the first few days or whatever, you will be consciously thinking about which side of the road you need to be on, and you generally don't forget. It's after you've been here for a couple of days or more that one day you'll just pull out of a junction on the wrong side of the road. So what I recommend you do is put an arrow that's visible on the front of the bike somewhere to remind you which side of the road, so have it pointing to the right, and do that. Right, I'm going to do a list, and I'll put a link to the PDF or whatever in the comments below, so if you want to download it you can, and I'll probably include an arrow for you so you can just cut it out and use a bit of sellotape or something like that to stick it on the screen or somewhere you can see. Right. Okay, so what do you need to have? What's different in France to the UK? Well, most things are the same, simply because they follow the European sort of standards. So most things are the same. You'll find traffic lights are very similar. There are some differences. Traffic signs are very similar. and that type of thing. What you will notice actually with traffic lights, and I'll just show you this one, so I'll have my head pointed over, is there's no amber, or sorry, there's no red and amber. It goes from red directly to green, which you're going to see hopefully quite soon. There you go. It just goes straight from red to green, no red and amber. Okay, so keep an eye on the traffic lights. The next thing is, of course, they drive on the wrong side of the road, which we've already discussed, but do remember that they do drive on the wrong side of the road, and keep that in mind. Now, as you can see, the road signs are very similar to those that you'll find in the UK, but there are one or two differences. One is priority à droite. Now, there is priority to the left in the UK, it's just that it's so rare that we don't see it. You'll find it on some of the very, very minor roads in the wilds of Cumbria and Scotland, and maybe in Yorkshire, but I mean, it's so rare. But it is actually the law in the UK that it is priority to the left. But in France, virtually all the villages are priority à droite. And sometimes they'll give you a sign to tell you that it's priority à droite. You see, for example, that's priority à droite. There's no sign to say, but that's because it's the rule. It's priority à droite. So as you approach a junction, unless there are lines on the road or signs to indicate otherwise, traffic lights, etc., then assume it's a priority à droite. And so vehicles from the right do have priority. Simple. Okay, very easy. Okay. They do have signs. I'll put up what the signs are in one of the corners somewhere, so you can see them, to show you when priority à droite is not in force. And this is usually on dual carriageways, motorways, and certain N roads, which are similar to our A roads in the UK. On that. Okay, so those are about the main things that you'll see. We'll now do filtering. Now, in the UK, filtering is legal. It's actually in the highway code. In France, it's legal in some places. It's not legal everywhere. There are 27 different municipalities where you can filter. Sorry, I'm watching this traffic, which is interesting. Okay. The rules for filtering are slightly different to the rules in the UK, but not much. You can only really filter on dual carriageways, and you should filter on the white line closest to the left-hand side. So the lane on the left is available. Now, a lot of people will actually filter the front at traffic lights and this type of thing. And if the motorway, if you have to use the motorway, if you're using the motorway, then yeah, you know, you'll see people filtering between the centre lane and the outside lane. It's on the white line is where it's allowed. Okay, that's really about the only difference. The next thing is this critair. Now, there's a lot of unnecessary angst about critair. There is no problem about it. It's basically a little vignette that costs about £4. It's not very expensive. As I say, it costs about £4, and you get it from the government website, and you only get it from the government website. You don't get it anywhere else. Okay? That's important. So I'll put a link to the right government website below, the correct one, and I'll put a link to the version for those abroad, not in France. You can actually check to see whether what your emissions are. Now, critair, if you're a 3 or above, 3, 4, 5, that sort of thing, then the chances of you being able to go into certain cities is slim at certain times. So you really need to be a 1 or a 2. If you've got a 3 or above, then yes, still get your critair vignette, because you can go in, but it depends on the level of pollution. As I say, it costs about £4. It takes about a week to arrive in the UK. They can usually just do it on your registration number, and you put in your home address and you pay by card, that type of thing, and that's it. It's all done. It's all done. It's very painless, and it lasts the life of the vehicle. So when you sell the vehicle, the vignette goes with the vehicle. So, once you bought it, it's there forever. Remember that just like riding in the UK, you have to watch out for traffic. Now, France is probably the most biker-friendly, two-wheel-friendly country in Europe, and there are more motorcycles and scooters in France than most of Europe put together. So, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of motorcycle shops, motorcycle dealers, that type of thing. So apart from just bringing the very basics that you might need to bring, tyre repair kit, things like that, you don't have to worry too much, except on a Sunday and a Monday. Virtually every single motorcycle shop, mechanic, whatever, is closed on a Sunday and a Monday, okay, and of course public holidays. So just bear that in mind, that if you have an incident on a Saturday evening, it's Tuesday before you're going to be able to get a mechanic to look at it, or to even find a mechanic that's open. Okay, they're open usually until about 7 in the evening. They open normally about 9 in the morning until about 7 in the evening, but close for a couple of hours at lunchtime. So don't worry about bringing stuff, except for puncture repair kit and tools to adjust the chain, that type of thing. Right, petrol. Most petrol stations now take a card. You need a card, a bank card that works in France. Okay, not all bank cards do, so bear that in mind. You need a card. Now, there are some petrol stations that are usually open about 9 till 7 that do take cash, but they are becoming few and far between. So make sure you have a bank card that works in France. They're called carte bleue in France. They don't call them a bank card, it's called carte bleue. and that means credit card, Master, Visa, bank, whatever you want to call it. Okay, stuff that you have to carry on the bike by law. Your gloves must be worn by you and any passenger, and they must be CE marked. Must. They will check. Don't ask me how I know. I have been stopped and they did check. Your helmet must be worn, it must be strapped up, and it must be CE marked, and the same for the passenger. So if you've had your helmet painted, make sure that the CE label is still on the helmet, because no CE label, that's it, it's illegal. It might be CE approved, but without the label, it's not allowed in France. So if you've had it painted, make sure the CE label is there. Okay, so gloves and helmet must be worn by everybody on the motorcycle. Next, what you need to carry, each person has to have available, but they do not have to wear it, a CE marked high-vis vest. Okay, so it can go under the seat or in a backpack or in the luggage or whatever. Okay, your number plate has to be a specific size. On this bike here, when I bought it, they put a number plate on which was legal at the time, and then about 7 or 8 years later they changed the law and my number plate was illegal and I had to get it changed. I was stopped by the police and I had to get it changed, so it has to be a specific size. I'll put the size on the screen somewhere. Okay, light bulbs, warning triangle and breathalyzer kit. Now, they are no longer required on a motorcycle, okay? But it's a good idea if you don't have LED bulbs, if you just have the ordinary incandescent bulbs, to carry the bulbs, okay? It's a good idea because, as I say, the shops are closed usually on a Monday, so trying to find one, it could be difficult. If you can find a small foldable triangle that will fit under the seat or something like that, it's a good idea to carry it. You don't need to carry it, okay? And the breathalyzer kit, again, you don't need to carry it at all, but if you do, I recommend you have a two-part one on that. That's about it. As I say, there'll be a full list in the PDF, which I'll link to below. If I've forgotten something, which I probably have, it'll be in the list. If you're stopped by the police, okay, be polite. Oui, monsieur, non, monsieur, or oui, madame, non, madame. And the magic words are bonjour, or in the evening, bonsoir. They are the magic words. So as soon as you raise the front of your helmet, you say bonjour or bonsoir, okay, before you do anything else. And that's the same when you go into any shops or meet anybody, cafe, pub, hotel, whatever. It's the magic word. Okay, if I've forgotten anything, it'll be in the list, and I'll let you know. So, thanks very much. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. It is really easy. You've seen me ride in France. I ride around Paris, and I do go out into the countryside. It really is exceptionally easy, so please come to France. It's a beautiful place. There are a lot of empty roads. Don't use the auto routes unless you really must. Get off onto the small D departmental roads and C roads. But you might need to have a good suspension for the C roads. Okay, So, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.